Good morning, crocheters. This is Karen Whooley. I'm so excited to be here with you today. This is episode 1 of the Karen Whooley Designs podcast. Now, for those of you who've been around for a while, you know that I've done more than just one podcast today. I've done a lot. I'm renaming the podcast Karen Whooley Designs podcast, and we're just going to start fresh with episode 1. I've got some new things I want to do with the podcast. I want to add some things. I want to subtract some things. But I just wanted to start fresh. After having the summer off, it was time. It was time for me to really think about what I wanted to do, how often I wanted to do it, and all those things. So for those of you who have not been around and just joined me, this is going to be kind of a trial episode of different things that I want to do. So stay tuned. But for those of you who've been around for a while, I'm going to start with an introduction of me because there are so many new subscribers. It was really weird that while I have been away from YouTube, I've gotten a lot of new subscribers. And so I just want to do a quick little introduction since this is episode 1. So if you've already heard most of this, go ahead and you can fast forward to the next part. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Karen Whooley. It's pronounced Whooley, not Wooly. A lot of people call me Wooly. I wish I could change it to that, but my husband would probably kill me. It's Gaelic and it means party in Gaelic. He's half Irish, his dad was Irish, so that's where the name comes from. I'm 100% Italian, and I learned to crochet in 1974 at the age of 7, so I've just given you my age, from my Italian grandmother who grew up in Italy. She was born in the United States and then moved back to Italy in 1906 when she was 3 years old because of the 1906 earthquake. And her dad lost his entire business, and so he brought the family back to Italy. So she grew up with her family in Italy, and she learned to crochet from her Italian grandmother in Italy. And so my background in crochet is Italian lace. I did a lot of lace. And my grandmother, in fact, I have it here to show you. My grandmother taught me the basic stitches in worsted weight yarn, and then she had me do a coat hanger in these definitely 1970s colors, all in double crochet. I'm going to try to bring it up a little closer. You can see where my nonna started a little bit, and then this is where I started to pick up here, and I did the rest. And then she showed me how to put it on the hanger, and she did the seam. I'm going to start at this end because you can see where it's neater, it's my grandmother, and then you can see where I was the one sewing it all together. So yeah, so you can tell. And then we wrapped the metal part of the hanger. This is a wooden coat hanger, so it wrapped the metal part. We have old tape here that held the remainder of the yarn here, and then we tied a bow. And my mom had this in her closet for a long time, and I got it back, probably about 5-8 years ago. I finally convinced her to let it go so that I could have it. So this is my very first crochet project. And then after that, I learned to do lace, basically a lot of thread work. My nonna gave me some size 10 thread, cotton thread, and a size 6 steel hook, which is a 1 point, the one I had back then was a 1.6 millimeter hook, and I did a lot of lace. And I did find my first project. Cannot find it right now, otherwise I'd show it to you. So if I can find it by next week, I will definitely show it to you. But then let's fast forward to about 1995 or so. Well, before we fast forward, let's go back a little bit again. And once I learned to crochet and we were doing a lot of lace, I would buy patterns from, the store, like Leisure Arts patterns and things like that. But my nonna couldn't read an English pattern. So we would take a magnifying glass and we would look at the pictures, and that's how I learned to crochet. I couldn't read a pattern. I literally would do it from the picture, and then I'm self-taught for the most part in reading a pattern. I did take one crochet class at a yarn shop probably around the time I was, my cousin had her first child, and I was 11, 12. I think it was 12 when he was born, but I think I started when I was 11. And she took me to a yarn shop because I wanted to make him a sweater. Or I didn't know. At that time, we couldn't find out if it was a boy or a girl. So I made a sweater. I found a Leisure Arts pattern that I wanted to make, a sweater, had a hood. And I went in to learn how to crochet. And after the class was over, the gal teaching the class said to my mom that she didn't need to bring me back because I knew enough. I mean, I knew because I could read the pattern pretty much on my own. I knew so much from my nonna teaching me that I didn't need to be in the class. So they gave her part of her money back and we never went back. And I have not taken a crochet class other than maybe an advanced technique that I never learned at a show somewhere that I was teaching at. I know one year I did take a class from Lily Chin on bust starts because I wasn't teaching at that time and I really wanted to learn more about that. So I'm pretty much, taught by my grandmother, self-taught in a lot of things. But let's now fast forward to 1995 when I got on the internet. A lot of you probably remember CompuServe. And CompuServe had a crochet group called Crochet Partners. It was run by a woman who just wanted a group of crocheters, and I jumped on there. It was so much fun because they were all crocheters. I knew no one other than my grandmother at that point in time that crocheted. And my grandmother had passed in 92, and this is closer to like 94, 95. So I got on that group. I met a lot of crocheters, but I met my first mentor. Her name is Terry Kimbrough. You may know her from Leisure Arts fame. I loved her patterns. I used to buy her patterns all the time. And she convinced me after meeting me and seeing my work, because I never did a pattern the way it was in the book. I would always create my own things. Even when I was younger, I would dress my dolls. And when I was in high school, I might make a blanket. And even though my grandmother and I were looking at the pattern, I would change the edging, or I would change how we joined the squares together, or whatever it was. I was always changing things. So she recommended that I start submitting to the publishers. And I made these 3 cotton floral dishcloths. I'll put a picture here of them. And they were bought by Annie's Attic at that time. Now they're Annie's Catalog, but they used to be Annie's Attic. And that was the start of my crochet career. That was 1998 was the start of my crochet career. It was right after my daughter was born. And from then on, I've been a designer. I've worked for all of the major leaflet companies, Leisure Arts, Annie's. I've done things for others that are smaller, that are no longer in business. And I used to do a lot for the magazines, just tons of magazines. And then back in 2010, I decided that I was tired of working for someone else. I wanted to go out on my own, design my own patterns, do all the things. And so Karen Whooley Designs kind of has evolved from that point to everything being self-published, including my books, my patterns. I teach classes nationwide, and I have been teaching classes nationwide since 2004. And that is kind of where my business is right now. I did take the summer off, like I mentioned, but I do teach classes both in person and virtually, as well as design my own patterns and write my own books. And we'll talk about books in a little bit, but so that's just a little bit about me for all of those of you who don't know me, my story, that kind of thing. And also I should mention I'm wearing my Team Whooleygan t-shirt because a few years ago, some of my followers dubbed themselves as Team Whooleygan, and it's spelled Whooley with the gan at the end. It's not the traditional I-G-A-N at the end. It's spelled the way my last name is. So if you're interested in getting one of these t-shirts, let me know, because I am going to possibly have some printed up or have something where you can order it and on demand and get it when you're ready for it. But let me know in the comments if you're interested in these t-shirts. I've had several people say they want them, so I'd like to just kind of know if you guys would like to do that. Okay, so let's talk about projects. So this is going to be interesting because most of my time offline with YouTube, I've been on social media, mostly on Instagram, but I still am working on my next book. This is book number 26. Got some yarns to show you that I'm going to be using in my book, but I cannot tell you what the book is just yet. And so I would say the last 2.5, 3 months, I can't remember when my last video was. It's been a while. I want to say it was June. Anyway, and it's now September 2nd. For those of you who haven't been here before, I always record the day before. And it's just easier with my schedule that way. So today is Monday. It's Labor Day for those of you in the United States. So happy Labor Day late. I hope you guys had a great one. So I always pre-record these. And then now what I'm going to be doing is my newsletter goes out every Tuesday. And make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the notes below, in the comments below, or the show notes below. So make sure you subscribe to my newsletter if you're not there. But I want to be able to post that, hey, my next podcast is up, because I know a lot of people don't regularly go on YouTube, and so YouTube doesn't notify them, or they've chosen to take the notifications off. So this way I can make sure that people who want to see the podcast know it's up and live. So if you're not subscribed, it's down in the show notes. But okay, so I can't show you a whole lot of crochet that I've been doing, but I can show you one piece that I just did. Actually, it was kind of a palette cleanser for me for between the projects in my book. And I don't know how many of you know Twice Sheared Sheep. They are a accessory company for knitters and crocheters. They do things like stitch markers and rulers and journals, and they have all sorts of things. They have like row counters and all sorts of stuff. I love their stuff. I'm an affiliate for them. But they also have a yarn line, and I thought I had the labels. Here they are. The labels. They have a yarn line called Everyday Merino. Okay, I'm going to put both labels up here because I use two colors. I'll show you the colors here in a second. But they came to me and asked me if they could use my Cadence hat pattern with their yarn, and I said absolutely. So they asked me if I would be willing to make one for them and do the photography and stuff. I said sure. So first of all, I used two colors. I only used one skein of each color. This is the main color, and this one I can't remember what their names are now, so hang on a second. Okay, this is ochre and this is terracotta. I knew this was terracotta. This is the main color, this is the contrast color, and I'll show you the hat here in just a second. But I wanted something with fall vibes because they were going to be putting it up really quick. So this is my Cadence hat. You can see it's a cabled hat. It's made in worsted weight, so this is worsted weight. It's got the terracotta for the brim and the pom-pom, and then the rest of the hat is the ochre. Very super simple cable, honestly. This is going to be a kit coming up on their website. I'll let you guys know when it's available, but I wanted to show it to you because I'm really happy with how it came out. This is just, the original is in blue, and I'll post a picture here of the original one, but this is give me an opportunity to make it in a different color, and it is so much fun for fall and winter too. So if you love fall colors, this is going to be it, but they have many more colors. So check out their website. I have the link in the show notes, and I should mention while I'm here too is that if the yarn companies are still around, and just this is for the future too, when I'm showing you projects and I name the company or I name, you know, the yarn dyer or whoever it is I'm talking about, I will put their links in the profile. If they're not available anymore, I will let you know that they're no longer available. It's just something I pulled from my stash. So let's talk about my second project. Now, as far as crochet is concerned, I haven't finished anything else in crochet that's not part of the book. So we're going to turn to knitting here for a second. So I last year, every when it really starts to get cold here, which is usually mid-September, late September, I usually switch into socks, and I have a whole drawer full of knit and crochet socks. And I've had some yarns in my stash that I've known for a while that I've wanted to knit socks with. Not crochet them this time around because I knew I didn't want what the look would be in crochet. I knew I wanted them knit. And I knit my grandmother's vanilla pattern. So the only thing I change is the cuff. So I want to show you the first pair. And yes, I do have small feet. This is, the color is called Enemies to Lovers, and it's from Wild Star Fibers, and she's based here in the state of Washington. She had a romance book series of yarns, and this was one of the colors. And I'm not normally an orange person, and I'm not normally a fluorescent neon person either, but I had to get this yarn because I knew that speckle was not going to be super crazy, and I absolutely love how it turned out. Now, I cannot remember the base. I could not find the rest of the yarn, but this took a little over half of a single hank of her sock yarn. It's got a 4-inch legging cuff before I did the heels and the foot. So, and because I have short feet, I have small feet, it didn't take much for the foot either. So I could still probably make another maybe shorty pair of socks with what I had left over. This is my grandmother's pattern. I found it in a stash of her stuff. This is not the grandmother that taught me to crochet. It's my other grandmother, my dad's mom, who was the knitter. And so I used just a regular heel flap and gusset and all that kind of thing. So that's one thing I finished. And then I had this, I bought this last year at the Dallas-Fort Worth Fiber Fest. And I bought it because I am a Christmas fan. If anybody knows me, and these are not blocked, but I knew that I needed Christmas socks. So these are from Passion Yarns, and it's a Christmas, and I cannot remember the color name at the moment, but it's a Christmas stripe. So I made these. This is also my grandmother's pattern, and this one only has a thick 3-inch leg and cuff before it goes down into the heel. So these are a little bit shorter, but again, knitted. And so I'm very excited to have 2 new pairs of socks. Now, the reason why I'm knitting socks right now is because several of my socks, I mean, I've been wearing knitted socks for a long time, but several of my socks, they were beyond darning. That they had either shrunk after being washed so many times. Even though I do not put them in the dryer and I use a delicate cycle to wash my socks, there was a couple pairs that just shrunk down that I could not get my entire foot in before the heel. It was like the heel was underneath my foot, and that, obviously I can't wear that. So I'm trying to replace probably 4 or 5 pairs that I tossed this last spring. So I've got to, and when I get to what works in progress, I'll show you another pair that I'm working on right now. Now, the thing with socks is that this is a perfect car project for me. So if I'm not driving, you know, my husband's driving or I'm with someone else, I can knit these socks really quickly, actually. And then when we go to baseball games, a lot of times I will, if I'm not currently working on something for my book, I have to start a new project for the book, I will bring a knit sock with me to the baseball game, because the baseball games, I have to keep my hands busy. I mean, I can watch baseball. I love watching baseball. Can't do it without my hands being busy. So if I'm not crocheting, I'm knitting. So that's where both of these socks actually got done. It was at baseball games. I believe I started this one in the spring before baseball season started, and then I just finished these in August, and then I started these and finished these in August as well. So it's not like that's all I've been doing, because I've been pretty focused on my book. But and now let's talk about the work in progress, and I'm going to show you the sock first that I'm working on. I just cast this on this weekend. I had finished a project for my book, and I just didn't want to pick up crochet, so I'm going to show you this sock. This is also my grandmother's pattern with her vanilla sock pattern. This yarn is from Wedgwood Fibers, and it's her oyster shell. And I like this because it's got this neutral speckle in it. I have it caked up now, but when it was in a hank, it had like a single stripe of different colors. So when it crochets up, or not crochets up, knits up in this case, it just gets these fun little stripes. You can see there's like different shades of gray. There's a little bit of brown in there, kind of a taupey brown in there. And so it's just kind of something different. And this one's got a 5-inch. So if you look at the back here, I've got the heel flap and I'm just about to start the gusset. But from the top of the heel flap to the top of the sock, that is 5 inches. So I wanted this one to be a little taller sock. And because I have short feet, I can do that. So that's another pair of socks. So that's the third pair that I'll be replacing some of my old socks with. So, and then I'm going to be crocheting socks. Don't worry, I will be crocheting socks. I just wanted to get some knit socks in the mix because those are the ones that got thrown away. So, and I like them both. I have to have the specific yarn for crochet for me, but I have some ideas, so stay tuned. And then a lot of you have asked me before I went on the hiatus this summer how my sweater was going. And for those of you who don't know, I've been also working on Knitting McPurley's, Audrey sweater. Okay, and it's a top-down sweater. And it's also knit, guys, so I apologize. I can't show you anything crocheted right now. Honestly, I have done 14 projects since the last time you saw me in crochet. I mean, I am like banging these things out. So I just can't show them to you. So I'm hoping in January I will be able to start showing you things. I'm going to be finishing the last of the projects, hopefully by the end of September. The way things are going right now, might be mid-October, but I would like to get them off to the photographer, early. So I'm hoping that I'll have some photography and some idea of what the cover of the book's gonna look like, and then start in hopefully January, February timeframe to show you something. Anyway, this is the Audrey sweater. I'm gonna back up. It's top down, and I am just now at the ribbing at the bottom. I think I have to put it on one more time just to make sure. When I tried it on the last time, I only had an inch to go, and I think I got the inch, but I want to try it on before I put the ribbing on. I tend to like my sweater. Her sweaters tend to be cropped, and I will post a picture here also of the original sweater. She tends to crop her sweaters a little bit shorter than I like them, so I think I added 6 inches to the bottom. Maybe it was 4 inches. I have to go read my pattern, but yeah. But this is actually, this is from Haiku. Oh gosh, what's the name of the yarn now? Haiku Sueno worsted. This is the label. I knew I had a label in there. And the colorway is Corny. It's like a cornflower blue. You guys, if you know me, you know I love the blues. And I am so excited because this sweater that I'm knitting is actually three sizes smaller than what I usually knit for myself. So I've lost a lot of weight, and I'm really excited about that. So that is gonna hopefully, I'm thinking I would like to get that done, at least the bottom, and then get into Sleeve Island. And it's got short sleeves, so it's not gonna be that much farther along. I'm hoping that, between projects I can knit on that a little bit and get that done before October. So that's my goal. Let's see how that works. Okay, I have a list here, so I'm going to be looking at my list to make sure I talk about all the things. So let's talk about what's new in the studio. So the thing I wanted to let you guys know about is today is the last day of my Labor Day sale. Today is September 3rd, even though I'm recording this on the 2nd, it's September 3rd, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 is the last day of my Labor Day sale. My Labor Day sale is 15% off all patterns and all books, whether it's a digital book or a print book. And you can save 15% by using the code Labor Day 24. It should be right here in the box, and it will also be in the show notes. So if you would like to buy some patterns now, or do get an early bird start on some crocheter gifts, if you want to buy some books for somebody, now's the time, because I'm probably not going to discount them like I usually do at Black Friday. I'm going to try to avoid Black Friday this year. I know a lot of people do it, and it's just overwhelming with all the emails and all the stuff, that I've decided that I'm going to do something else other than the Black Friday stuff. So if you want to get a head start on that, please do. I'm also, like I mentioned, I am doing another book, and I would love to get some of the stock of my books out of my office, out of my storage, so that I can bring in all the new books. So if you're interested in a print book, and I will autograph it, and if you tell me you want me to autograph it to somebody specific, I will do that as well. So just put that in the notes when you're ordering your book. Okay, so that's pretty much what's it in the studio as far as what's for sale. But I do want to let you guys know, and if you haven't been following along on Instagram, or you're not a newsletter subscriber, I want to let you guys know that next August, I am doing a crochet cruise. I'm so excited. This is one of the flyers. It's going to be August 23rd through the 30th, 2025. And here's a picture of the map. We're going to start in Boston. We're going to go up Maine and do 2 stops in Maine. And then we're going to go all the way to the top of Nova Scotia here and stop in Sydney and Halifax. And then we're going to stop in New Brunswick at St. John. And then we're coming back to Boston over 7 days. So excited. We are doing a class during this cruise. We're going to try to figure out the timing. Right now it's a 6-hour class. It's my top down sweaters class. So even though it's August, we are hoping to get some of the fall weather in that northern hemisphere a little bit. Usually the colors start changing around then. And we want to be able to have a crocheted sweater by the time we're done with the cruise, and if not, at least you have all the skills to get the sweater finished for sweater weather in 2025. So if you're interested, I will have a link at the bottom of my show notes that will bring you to a web page on my website that gives you all the information that we have so far. There's going to be more that are going to be happening besides my class. I mean, we're hoping there's a couple yarn shops that are at these stops very close to the ports that we'd like to stop at. I'd like to do a charity project, kind of like, whether it's baby hats or blankets or something for a local hospital, that kind of thing, at one of the stops. And there's a lot of amenities on board. It's one of the Holland America's smaller ships. And we're also going to have times where we can just sit and crochet. So if you're interested in coming, contact Diana. I can tell you that my class is $100 a person. We're limiting it to 15 people. Maybe expand it to 20, but I'd like to keep it closer to 15. But you can bring family, friends, your husbands or your wives or significant others, whoever you want to bring with you that may not be a crocheter, and they can be part of this group, and we can get the group rates and all that stuff. And right now there are early booking bonuses that Diana can tell you about. So make sure you talk to Diana. So I'm very excited for this. This is going to be such a fun cruise. We are going to do so much. I'm working on goodie bags. I'm working on all sorts of things. So it's the first time I've ever done anything like this. So I really would like it to be a success. So if you're anywhere interested, please check out my website. So I'm excited about that. So that's new. It's not quite in the studio, but it's new. I'm very excited. So now let's talk about yarns that have come in. So since you've seen me last, honestly, I've had one show. I went to Grazing Hill Fiber Arts at the very beginning of July, and then I went to Victoria, Canada with my best friend of 45 years this year. We met in the 7th grade, and we went for a girls' week, and we had the most fabulous time. And I'll talk about Victoria later, but I wanted to show you some of the yarns I got. There's some I can't show you because they were bought specifically for the book, and I've already made projects with them. But I'm going to show you a couple that I have plans to be in the book, but I can't tell you what they're going to be. So the first one is a new dyer to me, but I've been following her on Instagram for a while, and I was so excited she was going to be at Grazing Hills. Her company is Teton Yarn Company, and I actually bought 2 hanks of yarn from her. They were both her Mountain Sock, which is 100% merino superwash, and there's 438 yards to 100 grams. So this is, 100 gram hank, and this is her colorway Wild Child. Oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous? Her yarns are amazing. So if you haven't checked her out, you definitely need to do this. This might be in the book. One of them that I bought from her is definitely in the book. I absolutely love the way that yarn worked up for the project. I was looking for something specific for that pattern, and this one that other one did fit the bill, but this one I could not leave there because it was so gorgeous. So this could be in the book, and this could be something else. But this is Wild Child. Okay. Then the other dyer I bought yarn from, I was very good at the show. I had to be because I had bought so much at Ritzville, and I knew I was going to go to a shop in Canada, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But this is from a good dear friend of mine, Marietta. If you're watching, hello, Marietta. This is Inner Yarn Zen yarn. I have worked with Marietta for several years, and I just love her yarns. And these are for my book as well. I actually had another skein that I've already worked up. I cannot show it to you, but these are going to be another project in the book. This is her superwash fingering, 400 yards, 100% superwash merino. And this is Fuzzy Lobster. So it's kind of a corally, peachy, reddish color. And then this is called Red Speckles. And so this is kind of a white base with a lot of speckles. It's got some orange in there, it got some red, but it's got this fuzzy lobsterish speckle in there. So these two are going to go together in a project for the book. So I'm very excited to work with Marietta's yarns. So again, her link will be in the show notes, as well as the Teton fiber. Okay, then from Grazing Hills, my best friend actually drove in to my hometown where I live, and my husband got in a car and came to Grazing Hills and picked me up, helped me back at my booth, and we came home. And then the very next day, so that was the 14th of July, the 15th of July, we left at 10 a.m. And drove to Seattle. And we were leaving on the Victoria Clipper the next day on the 16th, which was Tuesday. So we drove to Seattle, spent the night in Seattle. So we spent a little bit of time wandering around Pike's Place Market. If you've never been to Pike's Place Market, you need to go, because there is a wonderful little shop there. It's called Yarn Dragon. I'll tell you that first. He used to be on the main floor of Pike Place Market in one of the corners. So when you walk into Pike's Place, if you've ever been into Pike's Place and you go into their main entrance, there's the place where they throw the fish. He was clear. If you're facing the fish, he is clear to the other side on the right, on the end. And he had this wonderful yarn. I've bought yarn from him before. Beautiful yarn. And he used to be called MJ Designs, I think, before. And then he renamed his company to Yarn Dragon. Well, just before we went to Seattle, I want to say a week, maybe 2 weeks before we went to Seattle, he opened up his own yarn shop in Pike's Place Market on the second level. So you go down into the second level. He's near a miniature train and miniature car store. He's next to that. He has his own little storefront now down there. And I had to buy this yarn from him. I knew, and this might be in my book too. This is, let me see this is Bactrian fingering. It's 50% baby camel, 50% silk. It's, let's see, it's 100 grams, 438 yards fingering weight. All of these yarns, by the way, are fingering weight, and I just dropped one. That's one I already showed you. So, and this is his colorway Baby. It's a blue, it's like a natural camel color in there, and then a really soft tonal blue. It's gorgeous. I cannot tell you how soft this yarn is. I wish I could put the yarn through the computer for you to feel it. This is the softest yarn I've felt in a very long time. You could make a bed out of this and sleep on it. It's that soft. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. It was milled in Italy and hand dyed in Seattle. And he does some beautiful colorways, but this one just spoke to me. So stay tuned. There will be something coming out of this if it's not in my book, and it will be crocheted. So stay tuned. I have a couple ideas outside of my book that might work. Okay, so then the next day we hopped on the ferry and the Victoria Clipper, and we took like a 2.5, 3 hour ride from Seattle to Victoria, Canada. And neither of us had been to Victoria. I'd been to Vancouver, Canada before, because, you know, living in Washington, it's really close, and we were less than 3 hours from Vancouver, but I had never been to Victoria, and Kathy, my best friend, has never been to Canada at all. So we took this ferry in, and we were just like, whoa, it's beautiful. We couldn't have asked for the more perfect weather. And if you've never been to Victoria, I'm going to say you need to go. You need to go, you need to go, you need to go, because it is beautiful. It is a walking city for the most part. So we didn't bring a car with us. We literally walked off the boat. We took an Uber to the hotel that we were at, because the hotel we were staying at was on the opposite side of where the boat dropped us off, or the ferry dropped us off. We changed, we got on our walking shoes, and we just walked the entire waterfront that day. And we went to the Fisherman's Wharf, and we looked to see where the Empress Hotel was, and then we saw the Parliament buildings and all of that. And we were there from Tuesday, and then we left Friday morning. But on Wednesday morning, Wednesday, we went to the gardens, the Bucart Gardens. And if you've ever heard of those, they're well worth the trip. We ended up having to get a $5 round trip, just public transit bus ticket. It's a 40-minute drive out, 40-minute drive back, and we actually walked the gardens twice. Every single day I was in Victoria, I walked at least 23,000 steps. That's how walkable this place is. So we walked everywhere. I had blisters on my feet when I got home. I mean, I didn't care. It was perfect. Beautiful weather, perfect place. We had high tea at the Empress on Thursday, I believe it was Thursday morning. We toured the Parliament building. We wandered all over town. We did dinner and lunches at different places, and we went and watched sunsets at different places, and it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. It was perfect place to go for a girls' weekend, but I've already told my husband we're going back. So anyway, but I wanted to tell you that on one of the days, Wednesday, before we went to the gardens, we walked to the Beehive Wool Shop, which is a yarn shop that has been in Victoria for 125 years. It's been there forever. And so we walked there. It was like a 14-minute walk from our hotel. Beautiful shop. Absolutely beautiful shop. I'll post a picture here, and you'll have a link to their website below. But what I loved about it is they had yarns that I have seen other designers use that I can't find here locally. And if you're like me, you need to be able to touch the yarn before you buy the yarn online. And so I got some yarns there. There's one yarn I don't have with me because I bought it for my I call her my niece. Kathy's oldest daughter is a crocheter, and she just graduated from college, and I bought her a hank of Ancient Arts yarn, which is another yarn company I can't get here locally, and I haven't seen anywhere in a long time. So I bought her a hank of that yarn. So I don't have that one, but I want to show you what I did get. So the first yarn I wanted to try is the biscuit yarn. This is a yarn that's made in Canada. They have the Bis sock. You know how I love socks. And this is a self-striping in a colorway called, let me find it, Sugared Orange or Sucre d'Orange. It's in French. They are, this is 85% merino superwash and 15% nylon. And it's 135 yards. Love this colorway. I had to get it. Might be in my book, might not be. It might be something else, but oh my gosh, I had to get this colorway because it just spoke to me. But it's also, like I said, it's a company that I can never find here. So now I know what the sock yarn's like. It's super soft. For 15% nylon, it is super soft. So this is something I am going to look into working with in the future as well. But I had to buy a single hank of this because it's just gorgeous. And then another company, you guys might recognize this company. It's Sans Garn Sunday. This is a yarn. If you are a follower of Petite Knits, she uses this a lot. And the only reason why I know Petite Knits so much is because I knitted 2 of her baby sweaters for my grandson. And this is the yarn that was in both of those patterns. But again, I had to get something else because I can't get this locally. I can't feel it, can't touch it. So I had to buy 1 hank or 1 ball of this yarn. It's Sunday, which is the fingering weight. And it doesn't have a color name on it. It's just got a color number. But I'm trying to find what it is. It's 100% merino wool. It's not even superwash. This is not something you want to throw in the dryer. You want to just hang dry or flat dry, but I wanted to buy a single ball of it because I wanted to try it out because I can order this online, and again I wanted to know how it worked up in crochet because her stuff is all knit. So then this is a gorgeous color. It's kind of an icy blue color. And then another one that I see a lot of, because I am a sock knitter and crocheter, a lot of sock designers, whether they're knitters or crocheters, use this brand, and it's Lang Yarns Jawal. Jawal, I think, is superwash. Now these are fluorescent colors, and I have a specific purpose for buying these 2 colors, and I'm not going to tell you what they are yet. But because I follow a lot of sock knitters and crocheters that use this yarn, I had to bring some home. And when I saw these 2 colors, they were perfect for something else that I want to do. So stay tuned on that. But these are 75% virgin wool and 25% nylon. There's, they have this only in meters. They're 50 grams and it's 210 meters in each one. So that's roughly, if it's 210, it's probably closer to 250 yards roughly in these. So, and this is like a fluorescent green. I can't remember the color name right now. And this is a fluorescent, they're like highlighter colors. And I know you guys know me, I'm not a highlighter person, but there's a specific project that these are going into, and you'll find out sooner or later what it is. So these are soft too. I mean, for 25% nylon, super soft. I can see why sock designers like this yarn because this is so soft. In fact, if there's any left over, I'm going to be making some socks for myself just because I have, I may order more in that color, those colors, because I have an idea for a crocheted sock with those colors, but I've got to finish my book first. So, and then finally, Knitting for Olive is another yarn that I cannot find here locally. You may find it locally where you live, but I can't find them. So they had Knitting for Olive in this gorgeous merino. It's literally merino. It's I think it's 100% extra fine merino. It's not superwash again. And this color Pink Daisies just spoke to me. Isn't that gorgeous? It's hard to get the color here. I'm hoping you can see how beautiful this color is. But I had to get it in this hank, or this ball, and I keep trying to remember how many yards. This is going to be about 275 yards roughly. It's 250 meters, so I had to get this, but they also had it in mohair. And the mohair is still the Pink Daisies. It's their soft silk mohair. It's 70% mohair, 30% silk. And this one has 250 meters and 25 grams. 225 meters and 25 grams. So roughly about 250-ish yards. So these two, I have another idea in mind for both of these. Again, you'll see a project coming out of these, but can't do it till after the book's done. So, but these will be a crochet project too that I have. I mean, I know exactly what I want it to look like. So hopefully it'll turn out the way it is in my mind. So anyway, that's the yarn I got at the Beehive Wool Shop. It's a cutest little shop. Cute, 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 cute. And if you can get on their newsletter, they will ship to the States. And the interesting thing is with the Canadian exchange rate, it's actually less in US dollars than it is in Canada. So it's like I spent probably $60 less than what the Canadian dollars came out to be. So when I got my credit card statement, I was like, whoa, that's better than I thought it was going to be. So there is a plus for that if you're in the United States. I know I do have people in other areas of the world. So I'm pretty sure they ship worldwide. And again, this shop has been there for 125 years, so you need to check it out. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this week because I really don't have anything I can show you tip-wise or because I'm so focused on my book right now. But one of the things I wanted to let you guys know is leave me comments. Leave me comments and tell me about some things you would like to learn about. So like, you know, a 5 or 10 minute clip of how to weave in ends. I'm just throwing things out there. But if there's something that you want me to teach that's like a 5 or 10 minute thing that you've never, you know, you've always wanted to know about, if you want me to talk about it, I'd love to hear that. And at the beginning of this podcast, I also told you the story of how I learned to crochet. I would love it. Love, love, love to hear your story of how you learned to crochet. You can send me the story either by posting it here in the comments, or if you want to email it to me, and this will be in the show notes as well, hello@KarenWhooley.com. If you send it to hello@KarenWhooley.com, I'll get it. And I'd like to read some of these stories to you guys because I think it's so much fun to learn about how other people learn to crochet. And, you know, you can incorporate all sorts of fun stories too. I mean, eventually I'd love for you to tell me your crochet mishaps. I'd love to hear your successes, all sorts of things. But for this week, if you have time to write me a note and tell me how you learned to crochet, please do it. I'd love to read them next week. So I'm going to be posting these every week on Tuesday. I'm going to try to post them every week the same time, which will be 6 a.m. Pacific. Can't guarantee that's always going to happen, but that's the goal. It'll always be on Tuesday. If for some reason I can't record on Monday, I'll record it Tuesday morning and it'll go up later Tuesday afternoon. But I just want to let you know that's what the schedule is for right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Again, you know, click the thumbs up button if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you be notified anytime I go live or notified when I post a new video. One of the things I'd like to incorporate in the future too is bringing people on live to talk about different things, whether it's a yarn dyer or just me talking to you guys live, and we can interact a little bit. So stay tuned for that. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. God bless you all. I appreciate you for being here. See you next week. Thanks all.